The people who look the strongest are often carrying the heaviest burdens. The people who encourage everyone else often have nobody encouraging them. The people who always say, I'm fine, are sometimes the ones struggling the most. For years, I was that person. And one day, I realized something. I got tired. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. I am Dr. Chichi, your host. One thing I've learned in life is that life is a classroom and every day brings new lessons. I constantly learn from my experiences, the victories, the challenges, the mistakes, the setbacks, and the breakthroughs. Many of the lessons I've shared in this podcast are not just things I've learned in books or heard from others, they are lessons I have lived. That is one of the reasons I created the Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. I wanted a platform for healthcare professionals where we could have honest conversations about life, health, leadership, finances, relationships, faith, and personal growth. A place where we can learn from one another, a place where awareness can lead to transformation. Because sometimes all it takes is one conversation, one lesson, and one perspective to change the trajectory of someone's life. My hope is that every episode encourages at least one person to pause, reflect, make a different decision, and ultimately take charge of their life. Because when we know better, we can do better. And when we do better, we can live better. So thank you for joining me on this journey of growth, healing, and transformation. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. I want to begin by asking you a simple question. Have you ever been tired of being strong? Not physically tired, not the kind of tired that a good night's sleep can fix, but the kind of tired that settles deep into your soul. The kind of tired that comes from always being the one everyone depends on, the one who solves problems, the one who shows up, the one who sacrifices, the one who keeps smiling, even when life is heavy, the one who keeps saying, I'm okay, even when you're not. That sounds like you. Then this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about something many people experience, but few people discuss openly. The hidden cost of always being the strong one. For years, I wore strength like a badge, like you see it like a badge. A nurse, a leader, a wife, a mother, a daughter, a mentor, a sister, as someone people looked to for guidance and support. And why strength is beautiful is a beautiful thing. I learned that there is a price to pay when strength becomes your identity and you forget that you are human too. I learned that even the strongest people get tired. I learned that carrying everyone else's burden can eventually break your back. I learned that you cannot continuously pour from an empty cup. And one day I found myself saying three words that changed everything. I got tired. Not because I was weak, not because I lacked faith, not because I was incapable. No, I got tired because I was carrying more than one person was designed to carry. Maybe you are there right now. I don't know. Are you there right now? Maybe nobody knows you're struggling. Maybe everyone sees you smile, but nobody sees your tears. Maybe everyone sees your success, but nobody sees your sacrifices. Maybe everyone admires your strength while overlooking your pain. Today, just today, I want us, all of you, I want us to have an honest conversation, a conversation about burnout, a conversation about boundaries, a conversation about healing, a conversation about giving ourselves permission to be human. So take a deep breath, grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's talk about the hidden cost of always being the strong one. This is Take Charge with Dr. Chichi, where we help you heal, lead, prosper, and take charge of your life, your health, your finances, and your purpose. I constantly learn from my experiences. Let's talk about it. The title of this episode is The Hidden Cost of Always Being the Strong One. One of the greatest misconceptions in life is that people who look the strongest are the people who need the least support. In reality, many strong people are carrying some of the heaviest burdens. A nurse who comforts patients all day may be struggling emotionally, but you have to go to work putting a strong and smiley face like everything is okay. The pastor encouraging the congregation may be discouraged too. The leader inspiring others may be exhausted too. I was actually in a meeting today, and the leaders were saying, "Oh, we talked to all the presidents and all that stuff." And someone asked, "Who is checking up with you guys too?" So leaders need people to check on them too. And I had a story of a pastor during COVID. This pastor carried everybody's burden. People were calling him constantly. He was giving us palliative. He was so burnt out and exhausted that he called a nurse line and he poured out his heart. He was crying and he said he's carried so much load that he is so exhausted. He needed to talk to someone and he cried and he talked. And after that, he felt better. Are you that person? If you're also a mother holding the family together, maybe running on empty, the friend everyone calls for advice, and you may not have anybody to call when you're hurting. Strong person often suffer in silence because people become accustomed to their strength and stop looking for their pain. Sometimes I wonder why strong people suffer in silence. I wonder, why do strong people suffer in silence? Everyone comes to them for help. They don't want to burden other people. They feel guilty asking for support. They become known for solving other people's problem. Let's kind of break this down a little bit. So let's talk about strong people becoming everyone's safe place. Everyone come to them for help. So people naturally gravitate towards those who appear stable. You want to talk to someone that looks like he or she got it together. When there's crisis, they call those people. If it's you, they call you. When people are confused, they seek your advice. When there is conflict, they expect you to fix it. Over time, you become the emotional emergency room for everyone around you. But here's the problem. Everybody is unloading on you, but nobody is checking whether you have room to carry it all. You become so busy holding others up that nobody notices you are getting weak. You become known for your strength, not your humanity. People forget that behind the title, behind the smile, behind the achievements is a human being who gets tired too. Some people fear becoming a burden. They don't want to burden others, right? Many strong people have spent years being the helper. Because of that, asking for help feels uncomfortable. They tell themselves, I'll figure it out. Others have bigger problems. I don't want to bother anyone. I should be able to handle this. They have become so accustomed to giving support that receiving support feels foreign. As healthcare professionals, many of us are trained to care for others first, to assess, to intervene, to comfort, to advocate. But nobody teaches you or teaches us as healthcare professionals how to be vulnerable when we're the ones in pain. So instead of reaching out, we suffer. I just had a burnout to breakthrough seminar, and what most of the participants or attendees said that, oh my goodness, I've never been to this kind of seminar before where you can come and learn how to take care of you. Because we always learn how to take care of other people. But they were happy that they had a platform to come in and learn how to take care of themselves and also fill up their cup so that they can stop pouring from an empty cup. The number two reason why strong people suffer in silence is because strong people tie their identity to being needed. They feel guilty asking for support. Many people unconsciously connect their value to what they do for others. They feel important, even solving problems. You know, they feel useful when helping. They feel validated when people depend on them. The danger is that they begin to believe I must always be available. I must always be strong. I must never break down. I must always have the answer. This creates an impossible standard. You're just creating a standard for destruction. So nobody carry that weight forever. Nobody carry the weight forever. Eventually, the body, mind, spirit begin to push back. So number four reason why these strong people do that is that strong people are often rewarded for self-sacrifice. I should be able to handle this, they tell themselves. Think about healthcare. The nurse who picks up extra shift is praised. Like I said, I had surgery. And after I had the surgery, instead of taking time to heal, I was thinking about my coworkers because I had a project at work and I was rushing back to work. The leader who walks through exhaustion is admired. That's the mentality. The employee who never says no is celebrated. The parents who sacrifices everything is called devoted. Society often rewards overworking and overlooks well-being. So we also applaud people for burning the candle at both ends, right? And wonder why burnout is so common. The problem is that what gets rewarded gets repeated. Many strong people continue sacrificing because everyone praises the sacrifice, but nobody notices the cost. The number fifth one is that strong people think they have more time. So one of the most dangerous lies we tell ourselves is I'll rest later. Actually, I was talking to someone the other day and I said, sometimes I feel we need to have 27 hours in a day. I deal with it later is also what we tell ourselves. I'll take care of myself later. Later becomes months. Months become years. Before long, exhaustion becomes normal. So stress becomes normal. Anxiety becomes normal. Disconnection becomes normal. And many people don't realize they are burned out. They don't know that they're burned out because they have adopted to living exhausted. So let's talk about the signs that you feel when you're carrying too much. The signs that you feel that you're carrying too much is you become irritable, you irritability, irritability, feeling numb, lack of joy. I told you a story about the pastor during COVID. I mean, he loves what he's doing, but at some point you get so numb that you don't enjoy it anymore. During COVID too, some nurses, I mean, healthcare professionals, they were so exhausted carrying those load by themselves. And some of them that I knew would call and just cry while talking to you. They paid well, but emotionally they're down. Some quit their jobs and say they won't do it again because they were running on empty. And also physically, you notice that you have body aches, fatigue, poor sleep. Spiritually, you're feeling distant from God because you're so exhausted that you can't even pray. So you pray less. And sometimes financially, you're working harder but not feeling secure. No clear financial plan and feeling trapped in a job. Feeling trapped in a job. Am I talking to someone? So, what did I learn? I learned some lessons, and those lessons I learned from carrying too much. I'll share them in details. So, after years in healthcare, leadership, ministry, education, family responsibility, and entrepreneurship, I've learned some life-changing lessons. And these lessons were not learned in comfort. They were learned through exhaustion, disappointments, growth, reflections. I try to reflect a lot and healing. So lesson number one is that strong people need support too. Lesson number two, rest is not weakness. Lesson number three, boundaries are not necessary. Lesson number four, purpose should not cost your health. And lesson number five, financial freedom creates options. So let me break it down. So lesson number one, strong people need support too. One of the biggest lies strong people believe is, I can handle it. I got this. They say that. And perhaps you can, but the better question is, should you have to handle it alone? Think about that. Even Jesus had disciples. Even Moses needed Aaron and her to help hold up his hands. Even the strongest leaders needed support. Strength is not measured by how much you can carry. True strength is knowing when to ask for help. I learned that there's no prize for carrying every burden alone. I learned that there's no trophy for silent suffering. There's wisdom in reaching out. So lesson number two, rest is not weakness. Rest is a requirement, not a reward. So many people treat rest like something they can earn after everything is done. The problem is that everything is never done. There's no way you can finish doing everything. There will always be another email, another meeting, another patient, another responsibility, another problem to solve. So if you wait until life slows down before resting, you may never rest. I learned that rest is not laziness. It's not. I tell myself that all the time. Rest is maintenance. You have to maintain your life. You have to maintain yourself. Just a vehicle requires fuel. The human body requires restoration. Rest protects purpose. Rest preserves health. I'm talking to myself too. Rest prevents burnout. So lesson number three, boundaries are necessary. It's because boundaries protect your calling. For many years, I thought saying yes made me a good person. Then I learned something important. Do you know what that is? That every time you say yes to something unnecessary, you may be saying no to something essential. So boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are filters. They help you decide what deserves your energy. You know, not every emergency is your emergency. We have to know that not every emergency is your emergency. Not every problem is yours to solve. Not every opportunity is yours to accept. One of the most mature thing you can say is no. Like no, without guilt, without apology, without explanation. Lesson number 4, purpose should not cost you your health. Many people are passionate about helping others. That's me. I like to help. That passion is beautiful, right? I'm telling myself too. Passion without balance becomes self-destruction. Am I talking to someone? Passion without balance becomes self-destruction. I have seen healthcare workers sacrifice their health for their job. They're sick. They're dizzy. They're driving to work because they're so dedicated to their job. They come to work. I had a co-worker that came to work. She probably knew she wasn't feeling good, but she came to work and she had a stroke. We had to take her to the emergency room when I used to work with patients on the floor. You know, Parents sacrifice themselves for their children. As healthcare professionals, we do that. Leaders sacrifice themselves for organizations. You work in for someone, you're not appreciated. You go home, you're still taking calls, no rest. The irony is that when you neglect yourself long enough, you become unable to serve at your highest level. So I'm telling myself this too. I remind myself constantly about this. So you cannot continuously pour from an empty cup. You must refill. You must refill. Purpose should enhance your life, not consume it. So let's talk about the fifth one. Lesson number 5 is financial freedom creates choices. One of the biggest reasons people remain in stressful situation is because they feel trapped. You think about bills. I did that too. Think about bills, think about responsibilities around you. You stay in a toxic job. I did too. They tolerate unhealthy environments. They postpone dreams because they're afraid. They endure burnout, not because they want to. I remember in those days when I was going to, when I'm going to work, I used to like, oh, they say, oh, have a nice day. I'm like, should I really go? I felt that way. I was really bummed out. And I mean, sometimes I wonder why I did that. I can look back now, but I guess, like I said, sometimes you go through tests to have a testimony. You go through mess in your life to have a message for someone else. So they endure burnout, not just because they want to, but because they feel they have no options. So one of the lessons I learned is that financial literacy is not just about building wealth now, it's about creating choices. So when you have savings, protection, and a plan, you gain the ability to make decisions from a position of strength rather than fear. Financial freedom gives you breathing room. It gives you flexibility. I had to go take the financial exam so I can become an independent, licensed financial professional. Because I found that most of the time, the reason why people get stuck in the environment that is burning them out is because of lack of financial literacy. I had to educate myself. I learn every day. I'm still work in progress, learning every day and helping other people. So let's have a reflection time. Like I said, I love to reflect because that's what actually makes you grow and makes you appreciate whatever you're going through in life. So my question is, just ask yourself, where are you pretending to be okay? What burden are you carrying alone? Who can you ask for help this week? What is one thing you need to release? What is that stuff that you need to release? I also like to do my financial prompt, the financial reflection. I want you to go sit down somewhere and just reflect on this. Sometimes the reason we stay overwhelmed is because we feel trapped financially. The more financially prepared you are, the more choices you are. Financial literacy is not just about money. Like I said, it's about freedom, options, and peace of mind. So before I close today's episode, I want to ask you for a favor. I want to ask you for a favor. If this episode spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with one person who is carrying too much. Share it with the nurse or healthcare professional who never takes a break. Share it with the parent who is doing everything alone. Share it with the leader who is always pouring into others. Share it with the friend who says, I am fine, I am fine. But they're really struggling. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification so you never miss any episode of Take Chat with Dr. Chichi. Every week we have conversations that help you heal, lead, prosper, and take charge of your lives. So remember, you do not have to earn your rest. You do not have to earn your rest. You do not have to prove your worth by carrying everyone's burden. You do not have to break yourself trying to save everybody else. The strongest people are not the ones who never get tired. The strongest people are the ones who recognize when they are tired and give themselves permission to rest. Your value is not in how much you do. The value is in who are you. You matter. Your health matters. Your peace matters. Your family matters. Your future matters. Everything about you matters. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit, I got tired. I got tired. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. So before you leave this episode, I want you to write down the answers to one question, just one question. What am I carrying that God never asked me to carry? Is it guilt? Is it fear? Is it other people's expectations? Is it a responsibility that belongs to someone else? This week, identify one burden, just one burden you're going to release. Not next month, not next month, not next year, this week. So I pray every person listening today, for those who are tired, for those who are discouraged, for those who are carrying burdens in silence, I pray that you have been reminded that you are not alone. I pray that you gain the wisdom to establish healthy boundaries, courage to speak for help, strength to rest without guilt. And I pray for your joy, your peace, your purpose to be restored. Amen. So thank you for joining me on another episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. My mission is simple: to help you heal, lead, prosper, and take charge of your lives, your health, your finances, and your purpose. Until next time, take care of yourself, protect your peace, guard your purpose, and remember you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. I'm reminding you to pause, just pause. Heal, reset, and rise, and always take charge. Thanks for listening. The world may celebrate your strength, but never forget to care for the person carrying it. Bye-bye.
Take Charge with Dr. Chichi is a brand of Sparkling Star Development Strategies LLC. The information provided is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or medical advice. Financial services are offered independently by Dr. Chichi in accordance with applicable licensing and regulatory standards. Thank you for watching.